I am Vlad Dracula Tepesh, and I do not get many visitors.
Hey everyone, welcome to JoJo's World.
Greetings and salutations from the Gothic architecture of Perth City.
Sure, famous for its Gothic architecture.
You know, we built this city on rock and roll, and my god, it shows.
We built this city on the lands of indigenous people who have never received a treaty.
I mean, it's not our fault that... Man, this could really go places. It's not our fault that when we got here, there were these giant Gothic buildings being run by undead menaces. We just had to take them over, you know what I mean?
Sure, that's why we colonised Anor Londo.
Exactly,
I'm Liam S.
exactly.
Smith, one of your co-hosts.
And I'm Nick Ballantyne, the other one of the co-hosts.
This is JoJo's World, our JoJo's Bizarre Adventure recap and discussion podcast, where today we are recapping and discussing the 6th and 7th episodes of Netflix Castlevania?
Correct.
Castlevania stream of the content.
The Castlevania stream of the content.
Yeah, it's like a game name.
What?
Castlevania stream of the content.
You know, wouldn't it be called something cooler for us? Like Castlevania podcast of remorse or something like that, you know?
Nick, we're not cool. We have an anime podcast.
This is true. But I want it to sound cooler than it is, you know?
Construction on the corner continues unabated. Hadn't made any noise until we were just about to start recording. Oh, and we are remote again because Nick thought he might have had the COVID, but he doesn't.
Yeah, it's pretty good news. Got the message this morning as we were watching Castlevania, and I was like, oh, cool. Well,
and now
I'm not gonna die.
Know the rest of the story.
Yep. Man, it's really worrying though, because if I don't have COVID, what do I have? Or am I just getting old?
Yeah, that's the problem.
I refuse to believe that. That is impossible. No. No. It's the children who are wrong.
Anywho, Nick, what's good in Star Wars right now?
Buddy, let me tell you some shit about fucking Star Wars. So, I think I may have told you this on air, but me and Dad, I just mentioned offhandedly, hey Dad, we've still got that Star Wars Attack of the Clones novelization sitting around somewhere, don't we? And Dad just goes, yeah, we do.
I had that novelization. That's a good novelization.
See, I don't know if it is, but I'm curious. So once I'm done reading Dune, I will read Attack of the Clones, the novelization, just to see.
I remember it had a lot of good background info on Count Dooku and
Shmi.
Very evocative depiction of Yoda attempting to see the future through the Force, but it being clouded by the dark side.
Ooh, I don't remember any of this.
Those are the only two things I remember. Oh, and the only other thing I remember from it is that Obi-Wan could feel that all the clones were alive and their own people. Which is true.
This is the thing. You say these things and I go, that doesn't sound like a very well-written book. But at the same time, Star Wars manages to make things that should be trash fucking incredible.
I mean, you realise I'm not quoting them, right? I'm just recounting what I remember.
Yeah, but for all I know, this is the direct, words. Anyway, point being of this whole story, right?
I'm here to write down this novelization, and what I'm writing, and this is me writing on my typewriter. In this scene, Yoda is having a very evocative attempt to see the future, but it's clouded by the dark side. Try to imagine it. You'll find it very evocative.
You sent that off to the editor?
Yeah.
See, I don't know about this whole descriptive form that you've taken in your words. I would prefer you actually described it yourself.
Yeah, I would prefer you actually used imaginative language rather than just repeatedly asking the reader to try to imagine it.
Try to imagine a stick with a glowing light coming out of it.
Try to imagine
this is what I
this
will call.
Book is good.
So anyway, Dad then went, I'm pretty sure we've got another Star Wars book in this house. And I immediately went, fuck off. We don't, do we? No, show me. Show me now. And we went looking for literally half an hour to try and find this other supposed book that exists in this house.
Can I guess which one it was?
I hope you're about to say Darksaber.
I wasn't, but I've read that one.
Which one would you hope it was then, Liam?
I was going to guess the Truce at Bakura, the one that I think has Velociraptor bug orgies.
Amazing. Incredible. Yep. Okay.
Or I think it's Dark Empire, which is the one that has like Prince Shizor and Darth
Greetings.
Render.
Oh. No,
Did I
so
say Darth Render? I meant Dash Render.
Darth Render. That's a good Darth name, though, because it's
it
like
is.
every single Darth name has to be so on the nose it hurts.
Fucking drilling is driving me crazy, Nick.
What is?
The drilling.
Well, just consider. Imagine if
This is not good pod.
Imagine you don't hear any drilling in the background right now. Now imagine that drilling sound you might hear is the sound of comedy, pure comedy gold. Send this to the editor. Yeah. So we never found the book. It's yeah. Dad, after half an hour of searching, Dad then went, "Oh, maybe I got rid of it." I just went,
So Nick, what you're telling me is this story was pointless.
"Oh yeah," but now I want to know what that book was. Like deep down, I want to know.
It could have
but
been
Dad's
The Glove of Darth Vader, the one that coined Dark Greetings and then is mostly about whaling.
Well, the thing is, Dad said he vaguely remembers the cover being black.
Sidebar, Expounded Universe have started doing The Glove of Darth Vader, or will start from next week, and that's the one that coined Dark Greetings and has the Moffrents, so I highly recommend everyone check that out.
Oh shit.
End sidebar, you were saying.
So Dad was like, okay, I think it had like a dark or maybe like black cover. Looked up the covers for Star Wars books on Google and was like,
They all do.
all of these have black covers. Mm-hmm. This does not help in any way. Shit. But now I want to know. Now I want to know what it is. So fucking badly.
Could have been the Crystal Star, the one where they go to a planet orbiting a crystal star and there's like a weird meat monster made of anti-force that's the head of a cult.
I'm writing that down. I remember him saying, I think it was actually well written, so it probably might not be...
Any of the ones that I know.
Yeah, that's the problem. But then again, Dad's version of well written might be different to what I would consider well written, because apparently he was at an airport and he was very tired.
I hear
So
the
maybe he
Revenge
was
of the
like-
Sith novelization is also very good.
Yeah.
But more importantly than that, did you hear they that I think this was coming out of an engineering firm in China about 2 weeks ago. They were prototyping Death Stranding style cargo carrying exoskeletons because of the reliance on couriers caused by COVID.
Nice. Amazing.
It's all happening.
Truly, Hideo Kojima is a genius.
Hideo Kojima has done it again.
Man, what if he was the one that spread the COVID? What if?
Yeah, that makes sense. So, Nick,
I'm just contemplating the reality of that, and it is terrifying. Anyway, yes. Liam.
Castlevania.
Castlevania.
Dostovania.
Ah, Bel Montenegro.
Okie dokie. These two episodes, episode 6, The River, and episode 7, the name of which is, of course, For Love. What'd you think of these two?
Well, as I said to you at the end of episode 7, these are probably the best episodes in the whole season, and yet maybe like 2 things happen in episode 7, maybe like 4 in episode 6. But
See, Nick, I think if you're breaking this show down, or any show down by, quote, the number of things that happen, you're going about it the wrong way.
but man,
It's
let's
about the
consider-
journey, not the destination, you know?
Yeah, but that involves a number of things actually happening at any given
And
point in the
sometimes the
story.
journey will be a pulse-pounding chase across the plains, and sometimes it'll be meandering across a gentle river, and they both have their good qualities.
Yeah, but consider that the Lord of the Rings has the goddamn battle for Helm's Deep in it, and you're like, oh, yes!
What's your point?
Every single scene before that leads up to it being like, let me give you some build-up, and you're like, whoa, politics?
Nick, the Lord of the Rings also has several scenes where they just spend several months hanging out at Rivendell, and
Hell yeah.
again,
But
taking a gentle journey down a meandering river.
But that's things happening. Those are bits that have meaning and discourse.
So,
Whereas in Castlevania,
The River.
less so. The river. The river of what?
Another city is about to fall to Dracula's castle, and Dracula himself may be about to fall at the hand of someone he thought was on his side.
These are very misleading.
No
These
one
are
ever
exceptionally
really
misleading.
trusted Carmilla. Oh, unless they mean Hector.
No. I mean, like, these IMDb things are like, and Dracula may be about to fall. It's like,
And Dracula
yeah.
may be about. Watch yourself.
You know-
There be Draculas about.
Maybe we might see Dracula this episode. It's like, I would expect so. This is Castlevania. It's like, yeah, and maybe he'll die, like falling, right? Maybe he'll fall.
Whenever Dracula isn't around, everyone else should be asking, where's Dracula?
Well, that's what fucking the Belmonts did for who knows how many generations.
That is pretty much what happens in this show.
Yeah.
I love what they've done with Dracula's character in this show, but every time like someone emotionally, whether it's positive emotion or negative emotion, screams like, no, Dracula, it really does take me out of it. Because it's Dracula, you know?
I wonder if, like, when the bit where later when they're just like, no, Dracula, you just went, I'm out, I'm gone. This was a bad idea.
Much.
Oh, man. But it's like, even so, Dracula's still fucking rad in this show.
Yeah,
I can still
he's
get behind
awesome.
it. Yeah.
Spoiler alert, he dies at the end of the second episode we're discussing today. But
What?
I'm so intrigued to see if he has any presence at all in season 3, be that in flashbacks as a sort of spirit, or if he's Castlevania style revived. I'm just
Some kind of force tree.
I think it would be a real shame to lose that amazing character. Even you know, we've got
Because he's just a big depressed mess, like all of us, you know?
so
He's just waiting for a
let's get
friend.
into it, I reckon.
Yeah, okay.
So we kick right off in the river by cracking open that family bestiary
And
because
it's-
a bunch of ghouls and goblins are attacking the secret library under the Belmont Halls.
Not so secret anymore, Mr. Belmont.
No, they found it quite easily.
They really did.
I suppose the protagonists uncovered it.
True. So they're just beating away on the top stone,
Yeah,
being
there's
all
like a
open
big
the
minotaur.
stone.
He's like smashing down on it, and like his horns start to glow with, I guess, eldritch magics.
Ah, so you're really you're really hopping on this magics train, aren't you?
I like it when people say magics. Dracula says it at one point in the second episode.
There's something more fun about magics than just magic.
Especially if it's MAGYCKS. Like, watch out for those magics.
I mean, yeah, I'm down for it. It sounds more magic, like more magical, you know? Like in a literal sense, not like Disney magic. I mean, like literally, it sounds like fucking magic at that
Yeah,
point.
it sounds so mysterious.
Exactly.
Managed to identify a few of the critters that we're dealing with here. There's one that still eludes me, but that is what it is. But this big one is most likely, as you might guess from how it looks, looking like a minotaur. It might be the Minotaur.
Oh.
Also known as Jumping Demon, Minotaurus, Minotaurs, Minotaurus, Minotaurisu, Werebore, and Werebull.
Where-bore?
Werebore.
What?
Wherebore art thou?
I'm sorry. Why does it need to be a where-bore? Like,
It's got tusks.
yeah, but what fucking boar has horns?
There are head tusks.
Hang on, I'm looking this up. I need to see a picture of a boar now just to be like, am I going crazy? Boars don't have tusks.
The
No,
manual
wait.
of a Castlevania pachinko thing describes the Minotaur as monster with superhuman strength and the head of a bull.
But why would they call it a were-boar?
Usually armed with a battle. Nick, you need to move past it.
No, I refuse. I need to know who made the crucial mistake of breaking my immersion and saying it's a were-boar, not a were-bull.
Usually armed with a battle axe, as first seen in Rondo of Blood, the Minotaur traces its origins to Greek mythology, where it dwelt in the center of a labyrinth designed by Daedalus, with the help of his son Icarus, on the command of King Minos.
Yep.
Now let's see, what was the Minotaur's relationship to King Minos? I want to
believe-
say Zeus disguised himself as a really handsome cow and then made
Sweet, sweet love to his wife?
who he tricked into falling in love with a really handsome bull.
Yeah.
So that would make the Minotaur King Minos's like a bastard stepson, right?
I want to say maybe. I'm not sure, but maybe. If any of our listeners have done Greek mythology, by all means, just correct us.
I don't think we need correction on that.
What? Come on, this is the one thing we could actually use
so
correction
I'm sorry,
on.
Zeus wasn't involved. So Poseidon sent the Cretians a bull. Minos was meant to kill the bull to honor Poseidon, but he was like, "No, this bull rules. I'm gonna keep it." So then Poseidon was like, "Oh, you fucked up now. I'm gonna make your wife fall in love with that bull." And then
Could you imagine?
It's all coming back to me now. So the wife, whose name I do not know, had Daedalus build a mechanical bull contraption that she could get into and romance the real bull,
What?
an
So you're-
ancient Greek mech.
So you're telling me it's all coming back to you, and then you can't remember anything except that there was a big bull fight.
Nick, I literally forgot one character's name, and I did not mention a bullfight. You were not listening.
You goddamn right I was. I was just thinking how Daedalus is Icarus's father.
Yeah, Icarus, who flew too close to the sun, much like how a certain stay with me,
Go
a certain
on.
fire drake later in the episode flies too close to the morning star or sun, which
I
morning
get you.
star
I
is
get
not
you
the sun,
because
but-
the sun is a star
yeah,
in
and
our
you can see it
solar
in the
system.
morning.
That it's a big one too. So that's good.
So
And
anyway,
it's
then they
got-
had to sacrifice fair maidens to the Minotaur in the big maze that it lived in. And then I think Theseus went in with some string and killed it one day for reasons that I don't remember.
The fuck, man! Don't just go in and murder. Okay, whatever. That's fine. It's happened now. We have to move on.
R.I.P. Minotaur. We barely knew
Damn it,
you.
you fucking dumb boar.
Bull.
I seriously cannot get past this. I cannot get past the fact that it's a wereboar. Like, a boar doesn't have horns. I just looked it up. Boars don't have horns.
Nick, just
okay?
go with the flow. It's cool.
No, I refuse to go with any flow of any sort. I need to be stricken with pure logic, not by hearsay. If there's a party going down, I want no part of it. I want to know the facts of the party. You know what I'm saying?
The Minotaur in games is often paired with the werewolf, who I believe is also a member of this hunting party we see, but one of the minor ones.
See, a werewolf makes sense. Wereboar does that. Anyway, so
No,
who else is there?
The werewolf.
No, who else other than the werewolf and the Minotaur?
Well, we've got to talk about the werewolf now, Nick. We're going deep on this one.
Oh, fuck. Okay, tell me about the werewolf.
Also known as the Wolf Man, he is a man with lycanthropy who transforms into a ferocious beast when the moon is full and has developed a taste for blood. He is
What a
occasionally
terrible night to have
compared
it
up
first.
with another fellow werebeast, the Minotaur.
So they're like
Oh, and
best buds?
Here's a nice picture on the Castlevania wiki of an 18th century woodcut of a werewolf attack.
What?
You know what I mean?
18th century what?
Woodcut.
Yeah, I understand the concept of the cut, but why is it a woodcut? Why not just a screenshot?
Because it's an 18th century woodcut that they've put on the Castlevania wiki for some reason.
Okay, alright, sure. That feels completely unnecessary, guys.
We all know werewolves. They're men who are cursed or bit by wolves or whatever, and then big moon, they turn into a wolfman, unfathomable bloodlust, kill, kill, kill.
We all know one. We all have to deal with them. But, you know, sometimes you just need a refresher. They're not good guys. They're just fucking werewolves.
In Bram Stoker's 1897 gothic horror novel Dracula, the eponymous antagonist was cited to be responsible for the existence of werewolves.
How? How does that work?
I can't remember.
Huh.
Why does it matter?
Oh, it's just like the werewolf-vampire feud is just kind of...
I mean, that's something that came into fiction much, much later, you know?
Yeah, but they must have looked at that and gone, oh, maybe there's something going on here that we can use. Like
Unlikely.
rivalry. I
More
don't know.
likely, I expect it would have come out of, say, the Hammer horror movies like Dracula versus the Wolfman.
Classic.
I'm just seeing if I can find any Pokedex entries for these before we move on.
The werewolf stands at 9 feet tall. Quite intimidating, particularly given that he eats children.
Gross.
If you're a child, try not to come too close to it, lest you find yourself in its maw. Ash then immediately gets eaten. It's the classic tale, Liam. The classic tale.
Now, I might be mistaken, but I thought, and I'm just scrolling, but I'm not finding anything here. I thought that in Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse, that Grant Dynasty, who becomes a party member, was a werewolf when you had to fight him.
I wish my last name was Dynasty.
It's not too late. You can change it.
Okay, cool. I need to change my first name as well to just Do.
And in Symphony of the Night, Richter Belmont summons both a Minotaur and a werewolf to fight Alucard.
What, Richter Belmont summons a Minotaur
Yeah,
and
he's
a
like
werewolf?
possessed or mind controlled or something. It's not important.
Oh, okay. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Also present, as I mentioned, there is a fire drake or dragon, which basically just appears and then immediately gets blown up, so we won't spend much time on that.
He's just a guy who's there and he's all like, rah. And then we're all like, well, fuck you. And then just bam.
Yep. we're getting. Don't worry, everyone. We're getting through it. There's only 2 left, one of which we have no information on.
So there's Birdman.
There's Crow Witch Malthus,
Whoa! That's a fucking name.
also known as
That's
Feather
a dark-
Demon and Karusaman.
That's a fucking Dark Souls name if I've ever heard one.
Its abilities include flight, releases flocks of crows, shoots razor-sharp feathers, and unleashes electrical spheres. And what we're looking at here is like a big, befeathered humanoid figure with a sort of crow bone mask and
Yeah,
wings.
like a plague doctor but made of bone, I guess.
Possibly part of it, possibly a mask. Unclear.
Very unclear given that in this episode we break it off, which is like, ooh, how does that
But
work?
we also kill it, so
That's true. That is true.
that's right, we do. We get the experience points.
Yeah, fuck that Belmont chump. He's coming in with all his Pokemon and I'm
There's
like,
a really
nah.
cool picture of what I assume must be Malthus by Louis Le Breton on the Castlevania wiki, which again is just another like folklore-y picture. And it's just like a doofy looking crow guy wearing orange trousers carrying a garden trowel. I highly recommend everyone check it out.
Hang on, what's this thing called again?
Malthus. In fact, I'm going to
Castlevania.
save this picture and I'm going to put it on the JoJo's World Twitter.
Okay, that doesn't really help me, but yep.
Malthus is described as a mighty great prince of hell commanding 40 legions of demons and being in second in command under Satan, appearing as a raven, but if requested will it resemble a man with a hoarse voice.
Man with a hoarse voice.
Malthus specializes in the construction of houses, high towers and strongholds.
Oh my god. Oh
Hence
my
the
god.
trowel, I guess.
Yeah, I've seen the trowel now, and I'm like, what the fuck? He's a working man.
Yep, he is the blue-collar hero we need.
Why do his pants go into his talons?
He's tucked them into his talons.
Yeah, like, if you look at him, it's like,
He
they start at
appreciates
the
a
waist.
tapered form. It makes him more aerodynamic.
Of course. It's so he doesn't get wet.
The Castlevania character could also be partially based on the Japanese creature known as the Crow Tengu. In some parts revered as Shinto gods, other times being depicted as demons or simply supernatural beings with both human and avian characteristics.
Oh, love having both human and avian characteristics, you know?
There is certainly a moment in this episode where, like, Trevor clobbers it real good, and you can't help but wonder if it has hollow bones that were just crushed.
Oh man, so good. So good. And then the final piece of the puzzle of this menagerie de 5.
Wait, Nick, he's got a Pokedex entry in Dawn of Sorrow.
Oh, here we go. Hit me with it.
A black demon that is accompanied by crows.
I don't know what I expected. But that is on point. I will give it that.
Got some trivia here. Let me just see if there's anything interesting.
The Crow Man had a film made about him.
Well, it's
in
funny you say that, Nick.
2015.
The name Karasuman is a blend of the Japanese word karasu, meaning crow, and the English word man, roughly translating as crowman.
God damn it, Castlevania.
You know, if it's simple and it works, it works.
Just fucking roll with it. Yeah. Oh my god. Ridiculous.
And then there is, like, how do you describe this guy? He's tall,
Dark.
handsome.
Beautiful. He's the guy from Ipanema.
Da, 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 da.
See, the lag does not make this work at all.
No. Also, I'm not trying very hard.
Ah. You gotta
So
try
it's like a
with all your might.
tall, like, demon creature, horns out of its head, sort of a bandagey headdress covering its eyes, fangs,
Yeah, it's obviously like the blind swordsman, but with a staff.
staff covered in angry red runes, and I think it's got like cloven feet.
It doesn't look particularly welcoming.
No, not a very friendly fella.
Did this guy have horns? I think he
Yeah,
had horns.
he got
Yeah,
horns.
this guy had horns.
Oh, he got
fucking
horns.
Man, he had fucking horns for days.
So they're all those guys that we spent 100 years talking about. In the very first seconds of this episode, are all gathering outside the Belmont hold, and the Minotaur is smashing his big fists on the magic door, and the what are we even going to call this guy? The demon? Let's go with that. Is like prodding it with his magic spear.
He's all like, and then they
Down in
break
the hold, the
through.
protagonists are like, "Oh, that's good. That's not going to be good for anyone." What are we going to do, guys?
Well, there's only one thing that we can do. Barricade the door.
Trevor, you've got to hold them off while we do things.
Trevor's all like, okay, well, I don't know what to do.
Actually, Alucard has a line here that I quite like. He's like, "Come on, Belmont, it's time to choose. You're either the last son of a warrior dynasty or a lucky drunk."
Nice.
And the plan is for Alucard to operate the distance mirror so they can see Dracula's castle.
And then Cypher is going to use her magic OP abilities to draw the castle here and then just stop it from moving ever again. Now, this is great because there's some truly, truly terrible writing here. Because, like, I'm not one to point out plagiarism where I see it, Liam. Okay? I'm not one to just point it out. But
I wrote a novel in high school where they are clearly plagiarizing.
well, look, here's the thing. I saw in the subtitles Trevor say, "I'll protect you as long as I can," and Cypher's response was, "I know." Do you know what that is from, Liam? Do you know what that shit is from?
No.
Star Wars Episode 5.
No, it's not.
It is.
Someone saying "I
Fucking
know"
Solo says,
is not intellectual
fucking-
property.
"I know." That's what it is.
It's really not the same at all.
It's exactly
Because you
the
see,
same.
Han is really doing two things in that moment. He's both showcasing his sort of roguish nature, the very thing that made Princess Leia fall in love with him in the first place, Leia Organa, I should say. But he is also, because he knows he is possibly about to die, trying to play off and come off as more of a prick to perhaps soften that blow that is going to be dealt to her.
Perhaps. But allow me to reiterate, Cypher said, "I know."
Also, I haven't watched the Mando, but I hear he has a big, like, carbonite freezing rack, and that feels a bit incongruous to me, given that, like, it was a very experimental thing they were doing at the time on a mining facility to capture Han, and now it's apparently just how you store people.
Yeah, man. Well, it's ages after Empire.
Yeah, I suppose the only technology that has advanced in the Star Wars universe is freezing people in carbonite.
I mean, yeah. What were you expecting? We were going to have, like, free healthcare? No, fuck that. We freeze people now.
Yeah, if only Padme had better health insurance, then she might not have lost the will to live.
If only Coruscant wasn't a corrupt hellhole.
So Trevor briefly asks Alucard if he can, use the mirror to see what they're dealing with, and Alucard's like, "I think we're gonna see that with our own eyes soon enough."
And Trevor's like, "Ugh, fine, I'll go protect you guys as long as I can." And Cypher's all like, "I know, I'm not getting past this, Liam. I can't get past this."
You're still a bastard, but you're the bastard I chose to fight alongside in Greshit. Now let's go fight Dracula.
Trevor's all like, nod, and then he goes on up the stairs, and he's all like, "Right."
So
Let's fight some
the thing is,
motherfuckers.
Trevor does like a really cool Tarzan swing with his whip to get onto one of the upper walkways, but then the room shakes again and he immediately falls off the walkway. Did you notice
yeah.
that? He takes like 2 steps
Oh, I did.
and then he's hanging by a thread again.
Oh, you know how it is when you got, like, uncertain times ahead of you. You're like, "Oh, easy does it.
And
Easy
then
does
there's
it."
this sequence where he's like, "Oh, the door. I'll go and get part of the bookshelf and try to
Yeah.
bar the door. Huh, how am I going to do this?"
It's just completely pointless. And I'm like, okay.
First he's like seeing if he can like put it over the doorway itself, and he's like, "No, maybe I'll just lean it against the door." Nah, this isn't working because it falls down immediately. And then did you notice this? The door opens outwards anyway.
Yes. I was like, for God's sake.
I really hope that was deliberate because it's such a nice touch.
But it's so dumb.
I know, that's why it's brilliant.
Oh, dear.
The next sequence takes place in the big spiral staircase room, and we cut between Trevor entering it from the base and the bad guys entering it from the top, and they they mark each other.
They're all like, "You there. I see you."
You there, boy, what day is it?
It's Trevor's
it's your
day.
death day, Trevor Belmont.
It's Christmas Day, my lord. No,
Run
it's
down
not.
to
I'm
Dracula's
Dracula.
castle and get me the biggest Christmas goose you can.
You go into Dracula's castle.
Oh, because of course
get
you go
eaten.
into Dracula's castle and you punch the wall and there's like a big roast goose in there.
Oh, that was the secret. It was a big test. The genocide was never going to happen. It was a fucking Christmas dinner.
I
all
didn't
along.
notice it, but apparently in one of the scenes in the next episode where Alucard and Dracula are knocking each other through walls, there is a bit where you can see like a roast turkey in one of the walls.
What? Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, there you go.
Alucard turns the mirror towards Dracula and he's like, "Oh, yeah, there's Dracula." And then Dracula is in the big D20 room being like, "Ugh, they want to go to Brayla. Let's go to friggin' Brayla. The things I do for love."
So then he starts like
Teleporting.
pumping that shit up, and he's all like, "Vroom." And I think that Alucard manages to find the castle in the mirror, and then it disappears.
Yeah, and then he basically finds it again immediately, though.
Yeah. So the castle is now in Brayla.
Oh, Carmilla
Landing-
finally got her wish.
Yeah, and the castle does not make quite the impression it did on that poor forest, but
No,
it's
but
still
it
pretty
does
meaty.
cause some destruction.
Like, it's still like a lot of people are dead from
Yeah.
its landing there.
There's like there's like a very meaningful shot of like there was a woman like cleaning the street with a broom, and then the broom clatters to the ground. Oh, what could it mean?
Oh, I get it. Liam, I get it.
Meanwhile, the Minotaur bursts through the ceiling, and Trevor is like, oh, jeez.
Oh, I don't want to deal with this big guy.
He does some cool whip moves where he whips himself into the air and gets on its shoulders, and he's wrapped his cape around his hand so that he can grab the blade of his sword and like do a saw motion on its throat.
And the thing is all like, oh, get off me, I'm a minotaur.
Oh, get off me, I'm a Minotaur.
I'm a minotaur!
Throws him against the wall, big smashies. The sword is still in its throat. Trevor throws a dagger to dislodge it and then catches it, cuts the guy's Achilles tendon, and then I guess it's dead.
I guess? Yep, that was
Yep.
quite fast, considering, but hey,
But then,
he's dead.
the staff demon guy is coming in from the top rope.
Oh no.
But then we're
So-
back in Brayla.
So then in Brayla, I think Carmilla and Hector are walking out of the room, and they're all like, hey, Hector, you got your little priest boy here.
Yeah,
I
they've
see.
got the Bishop
And
of
it's the
Greshit,
bishop.
undead, chained between them. They get to go walk into the river. Meanwhile, Dracula's army is marshalling, and they're all crossing this big bridge that's there for some reason. And the bishop is going to make the river holy.
So he starts chanting, he starts setting himself on fire because...
And he's undead.
And he's undead.
And then on the other bank of the river is all of these vampire knights in like...
I thought you were going to say vampire Nazis, and I was like, well, yeah, more or less. They,
yeah.
yeah, they are clad in white armor, so...
So yeah, they're in like sort of silver knight armor as opposed to Dracula's forces, which are in black cloaks and black armor.
Ooh, interesting.
The silent vampire generals and their silent army of faceless mooks are crossing the bridge, and they're all like, yep, we're crossing the bridge, there's those other vampires.
No, they don't. They don't say anything.
That's true, they never say anything.
And
They
it's so
It was so
fucking
noticeable
annoying.
in the fight scene in the next episode too, they don't even make like effort sounds.
Oh, they make like grunts, but nothing that would, give them character.
I don't think they do, or even if they do in some instances, there are many more where they should, where they don't.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, ever since you pointed it out, I can't not notice it.
The faceless mooks make more noise than they do.
I mean, they have more character than they do at times. Yeah, it's really frustrating. It does feel a lot like I'm meant to have a connection to the lead guy on that bridge. Because he has a lot of recurring
Yeah, the
shots.
sort of like bald strong man
Yeah,
one.
that's like shocked when he's like,
Yeah, he gets a lot of like emotional reaction shots to the betrayal that's occurring as Carmilla's knights shatter the bridge and make a lot of the mooks fall into the blessed river. But it's just his silent face, and we're like, we don't know you, man.
like, what? Who the fuck is this guy? It's so strange. So strange.
I've got to wonder if like these characters were added at the last minute, or if they wanted to get some voice actors for them, but someone was too expensive, or they just didn't really care.
I suspect it would have been like, we have to animate this, and we won't have enough money to finish animating all the talking scenes.
It's a baffling creative decision to me.
It is. It is. I imagine they just had so much scope, and they were like, we can make this incredible. And Netflix was like, that's great. No, not that much. Like, just bring it back a bit. I don't want to watch vampires talking for 20 episodes. I'll manage it for 4. How about that?
So a lot of Dracula's army is decimated, but the generals are all intact. Meanwhile, Trevor is fighting the demon in a like a wave of Minotaur blood.
Which is, yeah, it's an impressive amount of blood. I'm not
That
going to
thing
lie.
was highly pressurized.
Like, oh my god, there is so much blood. More than was in that Minotaur.
Yeah, more than a Minotaur's worth of blood is now coating the floor.
Now, I think... Is this Birdman or is this Staff Boy?
This is Staff Boy. He's fighting him, and he briefly kills the werewolf too.
He's still got the whip, I believe.
Whips the fire drake, and he's like, don't need a fire drake in a library. Whoop, it explodes. And then he is bursted through the next door in the explosion.
This is where Birdman comes in.
No, it's still Staff Guy.
What? Still Staff Guy?
Staff Guy's like, I'm back for more. And they fight, the staff breaks. And then after, like, the whip gets knocked away and falls down to the next floor. And then Trevor breaks Staff Guy's staff in half and stabs him with the sharp end.
Nice.
And he's like, when you get back to hell, tell him I'm Trevor Belmont.
Yep. And then
Bird Boy.
I basically wrote down here, Trevor don't need no whip.
Yeah, Trevor gets shit done in this episode.
He is fucking flaming those dudes.
I really like this, actually, this whole sort of set piece of the sort of... he wins, but they set it up as a sort of inevitable loss, delay for time battle. And you see his resources slowly get stripped from him over the course of the thing.
Where I think he starts throwing knives at some point and they just block them and it's like, fuck.
Yeah.
Shit. Yeah, it's great. It's great, though.
So he's fighting Bird Guy on like one of the narrow library walkways and hitting him with both halves of the broken staff.
Now, at one point, I remember thinking, man, the animation here is so bad. And then later in the episode, you're like, I am fully invested in this weird flowing drawing style.
I like it, yeah.
It's so good. Like, because at the start, there's just like, man, like there's not enough frames here. I need more frames. And then by the end, you're like, oh, I see where the budget went. Yep, let's do this.
Smashes the beak and sees like human teeth underneath it. And it's like, oh, that's weird.
Keeps trying to like attack him. The wings block him.
I really like this sort of like clobbering fighting style he's using, where he is like, I don't know, there's just something so rhythmic about it. The way that he's just like pop, 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 pop with the two staff ends.
And he's just really belting into him.
Yeah.
Yep, just kind of eventually
kills
smacks him.
Eventually, and then there's a huge like gargoyle creature with wings.
And he's all like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Well, I've got a stick.
I'll fuck you up with my stick, mate.
Yep.
That does sound a little too real.
Meanwhile, Carmilla's knights cross the river, and Carmilla's like, hey, Hector, you're mine now. You're implicated in my scheme, so I'm just gonna like take you. Off we go.
Are you completely forgetting the most important part of this?
Mm-hmm.
Carmilla's troops have these massive, like, catapult bridge makers.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
Where it literally, like, the way they destroyed the bridge was they pulled out the foundations from underneath using, like, chains attached to them. And then they just shoot across the river with bridges attached to them in order to cross instead. It's like...
pretty cool.
What? It's madness. Such madness. Yeah, so then Carmilla's all like, hey, Hector, you're my pet now. Yeah.
You're still the baby who had his woodland animal corpses taken away. Isaac's the indigent boy getting beaten in the streets. And Dracula is destroying the world in a tantrum because someone killed his pet breeder. You're all nothing but man-children.
And then Hector runs off and he's all like, I'm not a man-child.
So the way she's talking to him, like even when she's overtly threatening him now, there's still like a sort of like vague seductive energy about her. Like she's stroking his hair, and I want to highlight that now because I think it contrasts really interesting with something I think I remember in the last episode. So just hold that in your thoughts.
Okay, all right. Will we ever get back round to this point?
I hope so.
Okay, all right. I'm willing to hold out hope here. Yeah.
But next week, probably.
Yeah, okay. You'll listen to it and be like, oh, what was that thing I said in the last episode? And then listen to one of our apps and be like,
no, I've been thinking about it a lot over this season, so I'm sure I will. It's about like her like true brutality, you know?
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. So Hector runs away and is all like,
Yep. I'm Hector. I just wanted to have pets.
Pretty much. And Carmilla just follows.
Yeah, she just struts off while all the army's running in the opposite direction.
Yep.
Cypher's reading a book, and then this big gargoyle bat creature comes at her, and then Trevor leaps out of the sky and kicks it with anime strength into a wall.
And he's all like, fuck's sake. And then just
I'm
runs
fucking
after
Trevor
it.
Belmont. I can win any barroom brawl with a big bat that I want.
I'm motherfucking Majima. This is my baseball bat. That's not a bat, that's a spike. Oh, I see you played Batty Spiky before. Oh, man.
Cypher starts doing her magic on the castle to move it. She talks about how like magic is focusing your intent and moving the world in according with your will.
And Alucard's all like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Magic. I like how she
fuck are you
starts the
talking
spell by
about?
burning the paper in her hands. It's just a cool touch.
Yeah.
So what we're doing here for this next sequence is she is shooting like blue lightning into the mirror that's focused on Dracula's castle and then like physically wrenching it in different directions to try to move it. I think that's a really cool like physicalization of magical intent.
Yeah. No, I do enjoy that it's like, it takes a while before she can actually get it going because it's resisting. So apparently the engine, which is the big D20,
Yeah. And also all the
resists
gears.
her. Oh, and all the gears, yeah. It resists her attempts to move it at first. So it just sort of like teleports very awkwardly around the town of Brayla.
Yeah, and like it starts rotating.
And it's fucked up. And,
Everyone's
so-
like, wait, what the fuck? This happens sort of alongside and then after all of Carmilla's troops bringing in like a big ram-headed battering ram and busting down the door.
Yeah. Trevor whips the big gargoyle boy as Alucard's all like, oh shit, there's a gargoyle coming our way. He whips him, he explodes. Cypher is unfazed, and then
Yep.
and
Everyone's
then the castle continues teleporting until it just disappears.
Spread in amongst that is like a big brawl starting to happen in the castle. What do you call that room? The throne room,
foyer?
the foyer, the assembly chamber.
The main hall,
And
the
it's-
guest bedroom.
It's Isaac and all the silent generals versus and Dracula knights versus all the faceless Carmilla knights. Isaac gets some good licks in, whips a guy, stabs him with his devil knife.
Some of the knights, when they start noticing the whole building is moving, they just sort of like leave.
Can you blame them?
Not really. You know how it is. The castle teleports into the river at some point. I remember that. That's one thing I remember. And then that floods the whole room with the now holy water.
That's right, yes, big mistake.
Huge mistake. So all the silent knights literally just jump up to the high ground, and I've gotten my notes here, the high ground wins yet again.
Yep, they have the high ground. Don't try
They
it.
literally just jump back to the high ground, and all of Carmilla's knights get flooded into the holy water.
And if anyone were capable of speech in this battle scene, they might be like, you underestimate my power.
You were like brothers to me.
Isaac has run up to Dracula's study and is like, hey, traitors at Brayla, don't know who it is, but they're in black with white trim. Oh, that's the livery of Styria, says Dracula. Carmilla, oh, should have seen this coming.
Didn't she make preparations in Styria? Stroke chin.
There's a pitched battle in the main hall, and Dracula's like, oh, time to go clean house. Nobody takes my castle from me.
And then, just in a true spiteful declaration of, I mean, we will, Cypher twists her hands a bit and then takes his castle
Yeah,
from
takes his
him.
castle with him.
Ah.
I think it's
So-
interesting. She seems to have the breakthrough that lets her overcome the castle once Alucard informs her that there's like a mechanical element here.
So Alucard's all like, there's an engine inside, it's resisting you, and she's all like,
Ah, now I
motherfucker.
Engines. Engines
and
of the
then-
devil.
Yeah, and then teleports the castle on top of our little library, if you will.
Yep. There was a good sequence when the river was flowing and being tossed around because of all the... Actually, that's happening now. Like, in the
Yeah.
castle's absence, there's a big gust of wind and the river flows, and Camilla and Hector are up against a big bridge, and then she shadow steps them onto a rooftop.
And pretty much all of her troops are washed away, and they just burn alive because it's holy
Some are
water.
sucked into a big tornado that's there for a minute, and Camilla's just like, what the fuck?
No, this fucking line delivery is incredible. Like, I've written it down that's like, she just sort of like pauses, everything just goes a little silent, and she just goes, the fuck just happened?
I think this is such a great turn of events because it's like for all of your scheming and courtly intrigue, sometimes some protagonists are just going to show up and fuck up all of your carefully laid plans.
And it's like, it's the perfect reaction of like, what the fuck? What the fuck is this bullshit?
But I was supposed to be the guy now.
But that was my castle. What?
I don't know what Carmilla was thinking because even if had that not happened, if things weren't going his way, Dracula could have just moved the castle like normal.
Yeah, and it's just like, what? Oh, it's
Camilla,
so good
you
though.
didn't think this one through. I'm sorry, but you should have done your due diligence. Should have figured out a magic spell to stop the castle.
Oh, don't give me those man words of
Cypher
should
did
have.
it.
Yeah, no, it's good shit. It's just that. I cannot get past how good that delivery is.
Yeah.
It's so good. And then we move on to episode 7.
Episode 7, For Love.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Mathematical terminology. Oh wait, no, it's tennis. Sorry, it's tennis.
What is tennis but the maths of sport?
Yes, For Love. Truly the most mathematical terms. Can we make a game about that?
4 is a
Yes.
number, and love is a number in tennis.
Yeah. And then we'll make it played with these weird net things, much like the net works in math.
Much like the net worth of everyone who plays tennis, because it's kind of a bougie sport.
Yeah, it's fucking stupid is what it is. Anyway,
The
episode
battle
7.
lines are drawn. Comrade against comrade, father against son, and 2 new lovers against the world.
They're not new! They're not fucking new! God,
That last bit is not in this episode at all.
it's not, is it?
No.
What the fuck? IMDb, what are you doing?
No,
what
these are
you
official
doing?
episode summaries.
What?
These are official episode synopses because it's the same on the Castlevania wiki too.
Netflix, what are you doing? Stop tempting everyone. Jesus. What if
Whoever's writing these
Isaac and
synopses
Dracula?
is so much hornier than everyone else who worked on the show.
Jesus. This fucking guy. Maybe it was some dude like, we need to get everyone in. What if in season 3 it's
Vampire
even
people
worse?
love romance. We've got to put lots of romance in the episode synopses.
Yeah. What if in season 3 it just gets that much worse and it just starts being blatant lies?
I haven't, yeah, like
Like it's Dracula has just found a new wife right after his vacation.
Alucard remortgages the castle to start a small business.
Can Trevor manage his work life and his home life?
How will
Boy.
Trevor balance monster killing professionally with raising 3 kids with Cypher?
No, see, that could actually happen though. That's the problem. How will Trevor cope with his new office job in the city?
Oh, I just want to put it out there that last episode was a real Howl's Moving Castle situation.
How's moving castle? How so?
Yeah, because the castle moved, and also there was a Birdman.
That's true. Wow, maybe this is just one big rip-off fest. So this episode, I can think of exactly 2 things that happen, Liam, and it's fucking incredible.
The good guys fight the vampires, and then the good guys fight Dracula.
That's pretty much it. That's all that happens.
So I really like this episode on a first watch, but especially having watched the Bloody Tears battle sequence we're about to discuss several times over the past couple of months, I feel like that one does drag on a bit long.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's just, it goes for like 10 minutes.
Great sort of like fight choreo on an initial watch, but you know, compared to like the tight, relatively cerebral action sequences of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, it was a bit sort of, you know,
Long.
kind of pointless flashiness.
Yeah.
And you know I love a bit of pointless flashiness, but
Oh, boy do I. Boy do I. But it does not grow on you. If anything, it's the exact opposite. It's like the opposite of growing on you.
great on a first watch, but maybe not as bombastic after the initial
Initial hit.
the initial impressiveness has worn off.
Yeah, it's like cocaine, you know? The first time you do it, you're like, wow, this shit is insane. I can get so much done. And then after about, I don't know, 2 days of using it, you're like, where's the hit? I don't get it. It's...
Nick, there was a third thing that happened in this episode, which is that they all have to leave the Belmont Library, and then Cypher makes a big ice pillar that they ascend on.
Oh, yeah, true. I
And
forgot
they all
about
have like
that.
they all look resolute and thoughtful for a moment, and then they get out to the top, and Cypher's like, "Well, got this big pillar of ice. May as well just huck it off into the woods."
Which is stupid. Anyway,
It's brilliant.
So right,
like, I
let's
didn't
go
want it to
through the
melt on the
motions.
books.
Let's go through the motions. Here we go.
As they are ascending, Dracula's getting real angry, and his eyes fill with blood, and the moon turns blood red.
Ooh,
Ah.
he knows.
Yeah, it's a real bloodborne situation up in here.
Dracula's all like, for fuck's sake, they're taking my castle, they're coming for me, I just wanted to genocide them, what's so wrong with that?
He didn't want to genocide them, he wanted to genocide them. And these guys aren't in favour of that.
The royal them.
So there's at this point, literally everyone apart from Carmilla and Hector, who are still in the show, is heading towards the hallway for a big fight.
Yeah, so we've got unnamed and wordless vampire 1. We've got unnamed and wordless vampire 2. We've got Mooks. We got Carmilla mooks, who are somehow still there.
Dracula
then-
and Isaac are also on the way, but they don't get there.
No, they sort of like run off at some point.
And then, so they're all fighting each other, and I really like this moment. Shout out to the moment where they're going to go in, and Trevor's like, Alucard, are you ready? And he's like, no, but let's go. They're all fighting in the hallway, and it's vampires against vampires. And then they stop because our three protagonists all have such commanding presence that they can just like stand in their like hero trio formation in the doorway, and everyone's like, oh, got to put our personal differences aside to fight these guys now.
So good. So
Quick
they
strat huddle.
sort of they sort of look at each other. They sort of look at each other, and then they look at each other, and then they fight.
I mean, they talk.
Wait, do they talk?
Yeah, Trevor's like, I'll blow them all up, and then Cypher, you make a big ring of fire, and then we support Alucard.
Is that they talk?
Yeah, they
Do
talk.
say that? Fuck off. They don't. Well, you have screenshots, don't you?
Yeah.
Damn it,
And also,
I
I've
can't
watched
win.
this scene a lot over the past couple of months, as I mentioned.
So yeah, they're all like, here we go. Trevor's all like swingy with his little whippy.
Trevor is just blowing up vampires with the Morningstar whip, which he hits one with it. It like knocks his head off, and then in the gash that was his neck, a like crucifix-shaped fire explosion forms, and then blows up a heap more vampires.
Cypher
It's an
makes
effective
a big ring of
vampire-killing
fire.
weapon.
Huh?
It's an effective vampire-killing weapon.
Well, it is the vampire killer.
It is consecrated for killing vampires and demons. Oh, and the Castlevania classical song "Bloody Tears" starts playing here.
Yeah, and with like drums and shit.
Yes, so I looked up the Castlevania wiki page on this song. It was originally composed by Kenichi Matsubara for Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest,
Yeah.
and has been redone several times across the franchise, and
Indeed
has
it has.
become one of the most well-known tracks to date.
Because it's fucking rad.
It's pretty cool. It's one of those tracks that's sort of like the Never-Ending Story song and many video game songs arranged
keeps on
to sort
giving.
of seamlessly loop.
Yeah, which is really good because, this fight scene goes on for a while.
This page, this webpage, also has, in addition to appearances of the song throughout the franchise, appearances of the concept throughout the series.
I swear we've discussed this before.
For example, in Haunted Castle, a large portrait of a woman, presumably of Selena, in stage 3, will shed a tear of blood as the player passes by.
Ah, man.
Camilla's mask
good.
often cries tears of blood, blah, blah, blah. Statues of saints can be seen crying tears of blood in Castlevania Bloodlines.
Oh, I get it. Bloodlines.
They're like the lines of blood down your face as you cry bloody tears, and you look at the camera and you say, that's what the song is called.
So I bet you're wondering what this song is called. Well, boy, have I got news for you.
And of course, as we discussed many weeks ago, when Lisa died, Dracula cried tears of blood.
Ah, bloody tears.
The concept of religious imagery weeping tears of blood or presenting stigmata are widely known phenomena often associated with divine miracles in Catholic beliefs.
Presenting stigmata.
Yeah,
What?
stigmata.
The hell stigmata?
That's like nail wounds in your palms to replicate the Jesus crucifixion wounds.
Oh, I see. Today I learned a word.
I think that Christopher Lee's Dracula cried tears of blood at one point.
Yep, almost certainly. No doubt in my mind that was the thing. Yep, bloody tears.
Bloody tears. That sounds like an Australian faux curse word.
Oh, bloody tears, mate. I'll tell you what.
Tell you what, these vampires up in my castle court, I won't stand for it.
Bloody tears. Bloody Carmilla. I'll tell you what.
Struth and stone a crow man.
Oh, bloody werebore and a half, mate. Oh, man. So,
Don't shit in me hand and call it a minotaur.
so
there
they
anything else? Any
They,
more
they
of these?
fight. They fight. They
They
do a
fight.
big fight.
Trevor's blowing them up. Cypher makes a big wall of flames. Alucard jumps through the flames and turns into a wolf. And then he has got a sword in his mouth and he can control the sword with his mind and he's killing guys.
So I immediately was like, oh, it's Sif. And you were like, heh.
Pretty much.
That's pretty much what it was, yeah.
Yep. So, turning into a wolf and the remote control sword, yep, let's call it that,
Okay.
both abilities that Alucard has in Symphony of the Night.
Ah, okay. I was wondering where that came from because, like, on the one hand, I was certain it was a game reference, On the other hand, which one of the fucking 30-something games?
And then he turns back and like I like this one shot where he's like doing kung fu on some mooks and the sword is also zipping around and giving support and he grabs it at one point and sends it off again.
I just love he's just punching dudes. He just walks up to them and he's just like, take that. And the sword is just doing all the work around him, but he's just punching dudes down.
So there's two things going on in this scene. It both serves to eliminate all of the silent generals who we've grown to love, but it's also just another demonstration of how much good work Cypher does compared to the other two.
It's just like, it's so meaningless when they're like, okay, we'll kill like one guy, and then Cypher's like, but I could just kill them all single-handedly.
So like, don't want to put the other two down. They're doing good work in their own way, mostly taking out faceless mooks though.
Yeah.
And then Cypher is just over here, like the turban vampire runs at her, and like she's been throwing these icicles around, and she's blocking his sword with those, and she makes like a big like guillotine blade of ice along the floor that he's doing backflips on, and he's like, aha, I will run along this razor thin thing of ice with my acrobatic abilities and then go get her. And then she claps her hands together and does like a movement up towards her face, and he's all, I've made a terrible mistake.
He doesn't say that though. Never forget, he doesn't say that.
He says it with his eyes.
And
as the blade slices him vertically in two, I have to imagine.
Yeah, we only see the blood stain on the ice sheen.
Yep, guillotine the rich with ice blades.
Man, I love that French saying.
Trevor wraps up the sort of French or English one in
his whip,
and then shoves the whip into his mouth and turns him into a bomb that blows up some more mooks.
Think
and
Alucard.
then Alucard gets attacked by the one of the silent generals that I think gets the most characterization, if only because she can turn into mist.
Oh yeah, true. She's the only one.
Or like a Jiang Shi or something.
Yeah, and she's all like, she gets her head sliced in twain.
Yeah, Alucard like shadow steps behind her, but you can't slice mist.
Oh, it's the most cunning devil secret. And then
she goes away for a while, and then there's like a big dramatic wind around Alucard's feet, and we think it's big dramatic wind, but it's actually a big vampire mist lady forming, and then Cypher freezes it and does a really cool move where she does a twirl and smashes her fist into her palm, and the ice collapses. Another one dead by Cypher.
Yep, Cypher really could just take them all on with just freezing them all.
Yeah. She's a glass cannon, though, I expect. You know, that's how it goes in these MMOs. Alucard's clearly a tank. Trevor's got good support abilities. Cypher has good support abilities and huge damage.
Oh boy. So then all these unnamed generals are now dead.
It's just the sort of like Persian-looking lady with the sharp claws and the like burly-looking bald guy left.
How do they die?
While distracted by the big mist ice collapse, Alucard leaps into the sky and cuts the woman's throat.
Classic, yeah.
And then immediately after doing that big ice collapse, Cypher doesn't miss a beat and uses a thing of ice to vault Trevor into the air so that he can wrap his whip around burly guy's ankles, pull him to the floor, and while he's on his knees, Cypher rushes up, puts her hand on his face, and blows him up.
Ah, that's right.
And it's like, we did it. We didn't even break a sweat, and we killed. So this is, like, obviously this was a cool action sequence upon first watch, but I think something neat about it is it's showing that
they're competent.
True, it's establishing all of their vampire killing bona fides, but were it not for the combination of the moving the castle and Carmilla's treachery, this would have been much, much harder for the protagonists. Because there would have been so many more vampires in that room and they would not have been fighting amongst themselves.
It would have been a bad time. It would have been an exceptionally bad time.
Really, Carmilla has sown the seeds of Dracula's undoing here.
Well, I mean, I think that was the point. Like, she was trying to, so maybe
she was trying to do it for her own ascension, you know?
Yeah, but she was trying to, get Dracula to be defeated by her own hand, I say, as I pull my eyebrows up and down a lot.
So they chase Dracula upstairs where Isaac is killing a mook, and then Alucard also kills the mook with his mind sword, and Isaac's like, Alucard's coming, and Dracula's like, uh-oh.
Yeah, and they have a little kerfuffle. Well, not a kerfuffle. They have a little spat, shall we say?
Yeah,
where
Isaac is all like, I'll defend you, Dracula. Stay behind me, you most powerful vampire who ever lived. I'll defend you.
And Dracula's all like, you would trade your mortal life for an immortal one.
Isaac, you're so good to me. I don't deserve you. Anyway, get in the mirror. Bye.
I've made the choice for you. Peace out. And then Isaac's all like, no,
Yeah, Isaac
Dracula.
is like talking about how he's enamored with like Dracula's collected wisdom of centuries of life, and it would be much more of a shame to lose that than his own life.
Because, you know, he's only lived for,
I don't know, 25 years or something, 30 years.
yeah, sure, let's say that, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
and-
Dracula throws him into the desert and is like, bye. And this is where Isaac is like, no, Dracula.
Yep, it's pretty rough though. Even in this moment when you know Isaac is not a good guy and Dracula is probably not a good guy, you're just like, oh no, that's sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still rough.
Dracula is really nailing that sort of tragic figure here. Like, he's obviously done abominable things for, as Alucard will say in the next sequence, like the world's longest suicide note.
Yeah.
But, you know, he treats Isaac and Hector well.
He's sort of like, no, I'm not letting you die for me, all right? Get the fuck out of here. It's like, oh, that was
So
actually...
then Alucard's in the doorway and it's like, father, son. And we're all like, oh, this is like my last family reunion.
When I entered the room, my father said to me, son.
And they're like, I have to kill you for my mother. It is for your mother that I am doing this, but I must stop you. But you couldn't stop me last time. But last time I was alone. Look, here's Trevor and Cypher flanking me.
Look at him. They're all so badass and shit.
And they fight in the study, and Alucard gets his head thrown against a fireplace, but he's fine. And then Trevor is smashed against a wall, and then
He coughs up some blood.
Cypher is flamethrowering him, and she gets thrown against a wall.
No, she gets slashed.
Yeah, and thrown against a wall.
Oh, fuck.
Everyone's
Damn.
getting thrown against a wall. The thing in this fight that's cool is that, you know, for all the like prowess that all these guys just showed in that last scene so recently, Alucard is really the only one that can go toe to toe with Dracula for longer than a couple of seconds, and even then he's getting trounced.
Yeah, it's...
And this is Dracula without having fed for over a year. Again, the situation that I mentioned earlier with all his forces being depleted by Carmela's treachery, and even then they still only really win because he gives up.
But it's like, Dracula's so old, you know? He's so powerful.
He's just on a whole other level compared to everyone else in this show. It's really interesting.
But, yeah, so they attempt...
Is that what you were saying?
What?
You went, and I thought it was bloody tears.
No, they just sort of like, they start having sort of almost a fair fight when they start teaming up with one another.
Yeah.
But then Dracula just goes, the fuck are you doing? I'm fucking Dracula.
He knows what he's doing. He's separating them.
He eventually is just like, oh shit, you managed to like scratch me.
Well, Trevor gets him full on with the Morningstar whip, and for a second it looks like he's going to explode, but then he just sort of puts himself back together.
And he's like, the Morning Star Whip. That's a pretty clever weapon.
But I am no simple vampire to be hurt by your human magics.
Amazing.
Oh, good moment where Cypher gets her arm clawed, and the next time we cut back to her, she's using her fire magic to cauterize the wounds. That's pretty hardcore.
It is quite hardcore. So Dracula does the dumbest thing, but the coolest thing, in that he's like, I'm no mere ordinary vampire. I'm fucking Dracula. And then he just makes a big lava ball.
Yeah. That's
was-
probably a move he has in video games. Throwing fireballs.
Almost definitely. But I just looked at it and went, yeah, okay, this is a bit dumb.
And it takes all of their combined strength to push it back.
So at first Cypher's like, wind! And then Trevor's all like, I can help by pushing on your back.
Yeah, he's doing the least here, let's be real, but he's doing what he can. He's going back to back with Cypher and providing like a, not a lever,
A wall.
a wedge.
An immovable object.
Yeah, and then Alucard is pushing with his sword on the rocky surface of the fireball, and eventually they push it back against Dracula. It explodes, and then Alucard and Dracula just start like flying through the castle and punching each other through walls.
So they just have like a massive fist fight where they're like, you would dare stand against me, Alucard? And Alucard's all like, yeah, I would. Dracula's all like, all right, fuck you then. And then they just start pounding down on one another. No weapons.
You didn't kill me before, you're not going to kill me now. You want this to end as much as I do. You died when my mother died. Big suicide note.
Yeah, he's just like, go fuck yourself. don't kill the humans. They're fine.
They go through like the ruined D20 room with all these slag melted gears and
Which
broken
is
windows,
cool.
various like kitchens and hallways, and they're just like smashing each other through walls. Alucard's like trying to rely on his speed as much as he can because Dracula is just so freaking strong.
There's a point where you think Alucard is just gonna like really bring it back and self-actualize, and then he starts shadow stepping around the place, and then
Leaving
Dracula
red
just catches
trails
him.
in his background. Yeah, Dracula catches him and starts repeatedly slamming his head against the stone floor. It's intense.
And then he just throws him through a wall into a bedroom.
Lil Adrian's bedroom.
Little Adrian's bedroom. Well.
And he's
this
like,
was unexpected.
This was your room. The only room in the huge castle that was for you.
Wow, now that you say that. Wow. So there's like some children's toys. There's like a ruler. Or what do you call it? It's not a triangle. What is it called? A
What are you talking about?
You know the thing in school we had that was like
Like a protractor?
a protractor. He's got like a protractor there, yeah.
He's got like star charts and things like that, and Dracula
Yeah.
becomes overwhelmed by emotion. He's like, I'm killing my boy. The best thing she and I did together. And he's looking at their family portrait. Oh, how could I?
It's the greatest gift she ever gave me. Half
And Alucard
vampire boy.
is just like, not even trying to hide it. Has just snapped off a bit of the bedpost into a sharp stake and is like, oh, well, I'm going to do this. And Dracula's all like, I must already be dead for what I have done.
and then
And
Alucard
then just wordlessly sticks the stake through his heart.
there's a lot of blood. There's not
Son,
many tears, but
father.
there's a lot of blood. And they just shunk right on through him. And then he starts burning up into ash.
Yeah, turning into a big Gwyn Lord of Cinder.
Trevor and Cypher make their way into the room and ruin this touching moment by cutting off his head.
Well, yeah, like the sort of like necrotizing body of Dracula, like skin sloughing off him, turning to ash and eyes melted away, is like slowly raising his clawed hands towards Alucard, who is standing there, and we're like, is this going to be like some sort of like instinctual final assault? Is it going to be a like final hug? What's happening here? Trevor cuts his head off.
Yep. We'll never know. We'll never know what it was
Never
going to
know.
be.
And then Cypher flamethrowers his body.
I just love it's like, yeah, we're not taking any chances here, Alucard. And Alucard's like, yeah, that was my dad.
Such a harsh juxtaposition with the moment that immediately preceded it. Like, oh, we only won because even though he tried to close his heart off, he still loved his son. And then just
Yeah, we have to burn the body. We have to do it. It's like, oh, okay.
some like final shred of humanity within him still existed, and he allowed himself to be killed for his crimes. And then huge plumes of black ghost smoke come out of Dracula, and
Like screaming faces.
yeah,
Like
that's not going
inside
to be
the
good
smoke.
for anyone. We were making jokes about his CO2 emissions.
And we were like, this is not what you want to happen. This is how he really gets you, okay?
Killing
it's how he
Dracula is
darkens
not
the
a
sky.
carbon neutral event. Vampires are huge carbon sinks, so when you destroy them,
They're like trees, you know? They just suck it all in.
calamitous effects on global warming.
Oh, man. Yep.
They talk a bit. Alucard is understandably emotionally conflicted about these events.
Oh, that's right, yeah. And he's all like, that was my dad. And
yeah, but he was a
Cypher's all
monster
like,
too, but it's all right to mourn the man.
I get it. He
I
was
get
an
it. He
asshole.
died a long time ago. And then Cypher puts her arm around Alucard and then holds Trevor's hand.
And we were like, it's a hover hand. Oh,
Yeah,
God.
hover hands for Alucard, hand holding for
For the final time, Alucard the incel is validated.
noble half vampire lord cucked by drunken vampire hunter.
And that's the end of the episode. They just
And they
walk
look
out
at
into the sunset.
Yeah, look at the rising sun.
over
Crucially, the
Belmont.
sunrise, not the sunset, Nick, because it was nighttime when vampires could be about.
That is true. That is true.
And normally, yes, a sunset would represent like the end of a day of trial, but the sunrise represents the dawn of a new era, an era without Dracula, and the era of hopefully not an active vampire genocide anymore.
Well, not for now, but just give it until season 3. You know what I'm fucking saying?
Yeah, I'm very intrigued about. We'll talk about this more next week, certainly. But I'm very intrigued by what season 3 could be about. In fact, we'll have to talk about it now because we'll have watched the first episode of season 3 next week. Because
It's true.
you know, there are quite a few loose ends at the end of season 2. Obviously, there's Hector and Camilla are still out there. Isaac's still out there. Alucard, Cypher, and Trevor all presumably have their own business. But I've also seen like very intriguing looking character art on Netflix preview images and such about new vampires, of,
Yeah.
like a whole bunch of different stripes.
Well, I
and-
figure Alucard must take on Dracula's legacy and start a new court, right? But this time he'll be like, we're not killing the fucking human.
From could be. From what I recall from next episode, Alucard is like, I shall stay here and watch over the castle and make it like a sanctuary for creatures of the night to do no harm or something like that.
Which would be very interesting given thirst of blood.
And presumably Trevor and Cypher settle down. But then get
Sigh.
drawn back into some mysterious new mystery.
Some super sexy secret mystery.
I think I saw on like some scrolling Netflix preview text or something that they encounter a mysterious village or something like that. So there's probably some Dracula cult bullshit.
They encounter a mysterious village. What's there? A strange mist. A
Lest
fog.
we forget, as we discussed previously in Hector and Isaac's game, Isaac is part of a plot to resurrect Dracula.
You're right. You're right. So maybe there'll be a plot to resurrect Dracula.
And Hector will presumably try to escape from Carmilla's grasp and make his own way in the world, doing something.
Doing that thing that he can do, I guess.
Devil Forge mastering.
Oh, man. Good times.
Yeah,
Yeah. But we won't know until next week.
I suppose not. And then the subsequent weeks after that, the subsequent 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah, no, I'm quite keen for season 3 because
Yeah, it's
I
gonna be
hear
good.
it's the best one so far. So
Oh,
I'm like,
really? I haven't heard anything about it other than those little previews that I just discussed.
no, I think they learned from season 2 that people were like, you can't just stay in a library for 4 episodes of
I liked the
an
library.
8-episode season. Yeah, so things happen. Things are interesting, apparently. I'm like,
Ooh, very interesting.
oh, all right.
Maybe,
well,
maybe
sign
they'll
me
still
up.
do this someday, but I think it would have been interesting, given the ageless nature of Alucard, to have just been like, oh, it's 100 years later now, Trevor and Cypher are dead, here's their kid. Richter? Question mark? I don't know the timeline on that.
Ooh, interesting. Yeah,
I
that'd
don't
be
think they
kinda
do
cool.
that, but maybe someday they do.
Yeah, some kind of new Belmont line with some crazy
Some sort of, yeah, it's, hi, I'm Joseph Belmont.
Joseph.
Joseph.
I thought you said Joseph. I was like,
Like Joseph
yes, I see
Joestar.
we're really going with Wallachian name generation here.
Anyway, highlights?
Okay, so I'm gonna do this in reverse order, Liam, right? My low light, okay, is probably gonna be there is some truly terrible, like even, I don't normally notice this, but there was some truly terrible animation in episode.
I did not notice that.
In episode 6, like, and just some awful dialogue when Carmilla and Hector are walking out to the river. Like, I think Carmilla is just like, "Are you prepared?" And Hector's like, "Yes." It's like, okay, where is this going? And then like the animation doesn't quite line up with the dialogue, or like it doesn't line up with how they're saying it. It just looks really
really?
weird. And I was like, this is strange. Why does it look so off? But like the animation in the first part of that episode is just bad, and then later in the episode, you're like, oh, I see. Now we're getting somewhere.
I didn't notice any of that, to be honest.
It's so weird. Like, I noticed it and just went, that doesn't look right. This just looks bad. But then, you know, I think we all know where the fucking budget went, Liam. I think we all know where the budget went.
Look, I've harped on this before, and I'm going to do it again, but my low light has to be the Silent Generals, just because, you know, it's exacerbated the issue I raised last time after Godbrand vanished, where now that Carmilla is gone too, none of them talk.
And you have to notice them on the bridge, and he's just there going like, oh, what? What is happening? But he can't say anything, because he doesn't have a voice.
Yeah, why couldn't they even just get one of the, like...
The director or someone?
No, just like one of the people who's already a voice actor on the show to just do a line of a different character, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if The Simpsons can live off, 4 voice actors?
Harry Shearer is everyone in Springfield.
Yeah, exactly. But
Or in Venture Bros, the same 2 people voicing 90% of the characters.
that's true. That is true. I think the only person that isn't voiced by one of those 2 people is like Patrick Warburton comes
Yeah.
in to do... Is it Patrick Warburton?
Yeah, Patrick Warburton is Brock Samson.
Yeah, to do Brock. And then
And
like...
in later seasons, Hal Lublin is White Whale. There are some guests, obviously, but
But most of the time, it's the same 2 dudes. It's like South
Yeah.
Park, you know?
but better.
It's like, ooh, yeah.
Okay, we're running
in
real
ways.
long. Highlights?
Yeah. Anyway, my highlight would have to be when they get into the castle and you can see where the fucking budget went. Like, the entire fight with Dracula is amazing.
Yeah, that's
Like,
good
just
stuff.
just watching it, I'm like, Jesus Christ, someone had to draw this, like, by hand.
Probably with a computer.
Yeah, but, like, you know, they must have had, like, their hand doing things with the computer.
True. Or a tablet or whatever. I don't know.
Exactly. And it's just like, Jesus Christ, look at it go.
My highlight is I just gotta give it to that final moment with Alucard and Dracula.
It's touching.
Powerful stuff. I also just want to give a brief shout out. Didn't cover it in the recap, but I wanted to highlight it briefly. The moment when they're ascending in the ice elevator, as Trevor like takes a thoughtful moment to stare at the strangely untouched in all the fighting portrait of Leon Belmont, and it's like, yes, my legacy. This is what it has built to. Just a silent look that says a lot that I enjoyed.
Yeah, no, you don't usually get that from a lot of media.
You don't usually get that in a lot of anime. People will stare at the thing and be like, this makes me think about my legacy.
Yeah, or they have like a flashback sequence just like, look at Thing. When I want to be a Thing when I grow up.
Leon Belmont rode out here where there was work.
Yeah.
Trefor. I'm going to call you Treffy.
Don't call me Treffy.
All right, let's wrap it up quick because long.
Yep, so next week we're doing Castlevania final episode season 2 and then episode 1.
First episode, season 3.
Ooh. Curious. So curious.
Such potential. Will it be met? Unclear.
No one knows.
Find out next time on JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, JoJo's World, that's the name of our show, Castlevania, Pod of the Cast.
And until next time, to be
continued.
But enough talk! How about you?